So in everybody's comments all the time, people seem to want to ask, "Are you S and Y? Are you dropout?" and shit like that. So here's another topic I wanted to speak on: biker gangs like Hell's Angels, Vogels, stuff like that. When they go to prison, they're not on the main lines. So are they considered a dropout? In some people's eyes, if you go S and Y, you're automatically a dropout or a PC. But some groups it doesn't work that way, and here's why. The Hells Angels and the Vogels, neither one are a strictly white group. So you can't have members on a yard and it be considered a white group or a Hispanic group because you got mixed members. So are they not the white ones not they fuck with the Mexican ones or the other ones when that's their brothers? Absolutely not. So in 2006, I was at Soledad Prison. And when I was there was a couple of Vogels there from San Bernardino. Well, I believe it was two whites and a Mexican dude. And the Mexican dude was in a cell by himself. The two whites were celled together. And we were able to identify them because they had a green skull on their hand, on the top of their hand, as a tat. And that was their biker colors, was the green. So while there, I don't know how long they were there because they had showed up like right before I was getting ready to parole. And they had showed up and they started to come out the yard. And I don't know if these dudes didn't expect something to happen or just thought that something wouldn't happen. But they'd go out to the tables and they would be sitting there making their lunches together and spreading together and stuff like that. And the whole yard was kind of watching them, keeping their eye on them, see what was going on. Well, the whites, they weren't going to allow it. And the northern and southern Mexicans really didn't know what to do because the dude didn't run with either one of those cars, the Mexican ones. So it was kind of pushed off onto the whites on who was in deal with this problem. So prior to me leaving, there was a lot of um, controversy on who was going to handle it, and people were pushing for, okay, well, you're saying that they're not from you guys' group. Well, they're not from ours either. So they were pushing to have one from each car or each group go together on the removal of this, since it was a yard problem, not just a white problem like they were trying to pawn off on us because they didn't want to have to put in work or whatever. Which is funny because these dudes will remove their own hella fast. But when it came to having to remove somebody else, all of a sudden it's not their problem, not their group. But they wanted them off the yard just as much. So they were plotting on getting the removal done and getting them all out of there because they had to move on all of them at once. Because if you move on one and then you let the other sit there, now you give them opportunities to make weapons, etc., shit like that, and you're putting your own people at risk. But I know that they weren't going to stay, and the whites was at the time was ran by two skinheads, one block, one for the other, and this was for the level 3 yard right there. Now, I talked to him a few times because we had to talk to him to see what was going on with them and see what their plan was. Were they planning on staying? Were they planning on making a move and getting up out of there or what? And the two that were white were in our building. The Mexican one was in the other building. Now, they tried to give the assumption like they were just saying stay and kick it and everything was going to be good. And I know that when I paroled, it was supposed to go down like 2 days later, but I never checked to see whether or not it did or how it played out. Now I know with Hell's Angels, um, my Uncle Wicked, when I was in San Quentin, he came through. He had just caught a murder. He killed a dude in the bar for touching on his wife. Now Wicked, he's a Hell's Angel out of San Francisco, I believe. And when they came in, he was already classified as a Hell's Angel. So automatically, when he hit R&R for his prison term, they pushed him SMY. But they're not dropouts. They're not PCs. They are placed there by administration because there's nowhere else to house them safely. Because administration already knows that they can't be on a main line. And there's not enough of them within the prison system to have their own yards like the Bulldogs. So really, when it all stems down to it, who is anybody to say whether somebody else is SMY or a dropout, unless you're from a Hispanic gang? That's really the only way you could be considered a dropout from your group. Because a Wood cannot be a dropout. What's he going to do? Quit being white? No, he's not. He's still a white. Skinheads aren't dropouts. Depending on the group that you're from, depends on where you could be housed. So for people to sit and automatically assume, oh, the dude's a dropout or he's BC, no, that's not the case. It's just that ignorant people have ignorant assumptions and don't know any better. Because all they know is what they're being fed from the people that they're having to listen to, the people in charge. So that was just something I wanted to speak on real quick and put out there.